Have you ever wanted to create things like these inside a framework? Little bits of elements that have a little overlay on them. You can see these can be used for like little navigations, tooltips, or when you want to open a modal, for example. But you can also build a little embedded checkout experience on your framework site with this feature. And again, this requires you to understand overlays, both relative and fixed overlays inside a framework. So in this video, you're gonna get a complete masterclass on that specific feature. I'm gonna teach you everything. So if you watch this video from end or from start to finish, you're gonna know everything. So my name is Nandi, this is Framework University, and let's get started. So all the little examples we saw in the intro, all of them are going to be built in this video. So if you follow along, you're going to build all of them. I'm going to also leave a link in the description for remixing this project I'm seeing right here. So you can click that, and on the pages panel, you're going to see a bunch of these pages. You're going to always have to go to the starter. So for example, now just click the info starter and start building with me. So what I'm going to do in this video again is I'm going to build all those examples because I want to teach you overlays through multiple examples. There are two types of overlays in framework, relative and fixed. We're going to have two examples for relative and two examples for fixed. So yeah, without any yapping around, let's get started. We're going to start with the relative overlay and like the simplest, example, which is just, let me actually show you, which is just, something where you hover over a little eye. I don't know why I cannot see it. So you hover over this and you see a little, text or message. So how do we create something like this? So first of all, what you have to do is you have to create the actual element or text that will appear. So framer is the best. We all know that, right? And I'm going to actually make it a little bit larger, and I'll wrap this in a stack. I'll set the width to fit content. I just set this, element up really quickly, make this black, and yeah, something like this will work. What I'll do is I'll just copy it to my clipboard with Command and C, and then I'll delete it. I'm no longer needing it here on the canvas. What I'll do then is I'll select the info, which is already here, this little button or element icon. And on the right panel, if we go to effects, we can, actually it's not effects, I don't know what I'm talking about, it's overlays. You're making a video about overlays. So overlays, and then you'll see that we have two options here, relative and fixed. You can also see that relative is useful for dropdowns, popovers, and fixed is useful for modals, toasts, and videos. So we're going to use relative in this case. If I click this, you can see that the relative overlay appeared here on my screen, on my canvas. This is the preview that I see right now. On the top right, I have a bunch of controls, so I can put it to the top, for example. That's what we're going to need, right? Because we want the text to appear on the top. And you can kind of see what relative means in terms of overlays. It places itself relative to the element that we trigger it with. So you can see that the icon or this little thing, we trigger the overlay with this. And so if it's relative, it's going to be relative to that. So if I set it to top, it's going to be on top of that little element. Or if I change the offset here, it's going to get further away from that little element, relative to that element. Again, super simple. I'll set it to 8 offset. And since we copied it to our clipboard element that we want to place here, we can just press Shift, Command, and V on our keyboard. Right now I'm selecting this input, that's why it didn't work. So again, Shift, Command, and boom, it replaces the overlay with the element that we wanted to add here, which is really cool. So at this point, we could say that, okay, we're good. You can see in the top right, we can change the show on. It's either click or hover. In this case, we want it to appear on hover. And yeah, let's just take a look at this, what we have right now. As you can see, we hover over and yeah, our overlay appears instantly, or this little tooltip. So what we're going to do to make this a little bit better is we're going to select the overlay, and then on the right panel, we're going to give it an effect, an appear effect. So with this, we just make it a little bit cooler by making sure that it just not appears instantly, but it will have maybe like an animation in from the bottom. We just offset it to the bottom and let's see how it looks now. Yeah, definitely much better. So yeah, I think that's the easiest and simplest like example for relative overlays, but let's take a look at another one, which is this navigation example. You can see this can be used for like navigation drop downs as well. So for example, you have a nav bar, one of the items is resources, and you can just click one of the items in the drop down here. So pretty simple, and let's build it now. So I'm going to go to Navi tutorial and let's build this. So you're going to also have this starting position. Let's just turn this into an actual navigation item because now it's just a stack. Let's turn it into a component. So I'm going to give it a right click and then click create component. So this will be a Navi item. And within the component canvas, I can create a default state for this, which is right here, the primary. And I can create a new variant, which will be called hovered. Because here we're going to learn something new, is when we add overlays to elements, we can actually make sure that the actual element that we're adding the overlay to switches its variant when the overlay is opened. Makes sense? Well, it will make sense in just a second. So on the hover state, I'm going to set the opacity to 1. And that's basically it. That's all I do on this component level. I go back then and yeah, I'll add the overlay, but first maybe just create the drop down that I want to add, right? So let's just press T on our keyboard and click on the canvas. Apps, I'm going to just write apps. I don't even remember what else I had, but I don't have to remember because I just have apps for now. So I'm gonna right click and add a stack. I'll set the width to fit and maybe I'll give it a color of like 6 gray, maybe. And then actually let's set the width to fixed. I'll make it a little bit larger, distribute start in horizontal direction. And the padding will be 4, maybe 4. That looks good. And I'll just call this drop down item. Pretty good. So I'll turn this into a component because I want this to have a hover state. So default, and on the hover, it is going to switch to white and the text will be black. That's basically it. And I'll also change the text to user select none just to make sure that I cannot select it when I'm clicking it. This looks pretty good. Maybe tweak the transition. That looks good. Cool. So now I'll just duplicate it, wrap it in a stack. So I'm going to select both of them, add stack. I'll change the stack direction to vertical, so these are right below each other, and the gap to 2. And I think the width can be fit content, but then I'll change these within to fill. And then this stack will have some padding around and it will have a fill color. I'm not too sure about the fill color though. The padding can be 2. Well, I actually don't remember the fill color I used, so I'm just gonna go with 8. And then we're gonna have 3 items, apps, and some other stuff. But in order to make sure we can actually change the text on these instances, we have to create a variable. So I'm going to go within on the right content and create this text variable. And I can go back now and just write something else here. Games and tutorials. So you can see that this variable created a little property for us on the right panel, which is pretty good. So now I can just tweak the size and we have our dropdown, basically. So I can press Command and X on my keyboard. This deletes it and also puts it on my clipboard, which would be useful when adding the overlay, the relative overlay, and then just hitting Shift, Command and V on our keyboard. That's it. We can resize the overlay here just a little bit so it kind of matches the size that we want to have. And yeah, that's it. We can tweak the offset. Maybe it's going to be a little bit closer. It's going to be on the bottom. Hover, that's all good. And it will also have an appear effect, right? Because we want it to have a nice little appear. So the opacity will be 0. Maybe it's going to scale in and move in from the top. I think that's going to look pretty good. Yeah. I think that's it. That's all. Yeah, that looks great. The only thing I don't like, but that's just a small thing, is that these drop-down items have like a transition when they're just like changing color. I want it to be instant because I don't know, it just looks better. So yeah, we used relative overlays to create this little drop down. Oh, and one thing I forgot. Actually, so I was talking about creating, you know, a relative overlay and then switching the variant of the trigger element. Now we forgot to do that. So it's super simple. You just select the element that triggered the overlay, and on the right, where you edit the overlay, you also have an on open where you can set the variant to hovered. And now it's going to look much better because as I hover over, this lights up. So, you know, it's now a little bit brighter of a color. It's white. And then, yeah, I can just select any of these drop-down items. Looks pretty good, I think. Cool, let's move on to the next one, which is going to be the first fixed overlay example, which is going to be a simple modal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just show you what it will look like. So I just click this button and this little modal opens. I have a close button, I can close it. Super simple, right? So let's go ahead and build this. I'll go to Modal tutorial. You can go to Modal starter and let's build it. So I actually don't really want to spend time with creating the modal. So maybe I'm just going to copy it. I hope that's okay with you, but if you want to spend time with it or practice, you can just build it, no worries. But I'm just going to copy it this time. So let's just put it here. And yeah, I'm going to copy. Sorry, I'm just going to again press Command and X on my keyboard to cut it. And so if I select this button on the right, I can go to overlays and I'm going to click fixed. And you're going to see that here it's slightly different. Like we don't really get an element that we can position relative to the trigger element. It's fixed. It takes up the entire screen, as you can see, or the entire viewport on our website. And we just have a few properties on the right panel that we can tweak. So we have the show on, as usual. Fixed over is usually triggered on click, so we're gonna keep it that. And we have a few presets here. I honestly don't really use these. What I usually do is I just go to this. I set it to 0.3 and the exit 0.3 as well. So it will have a nice little transition. The fill color is basically the backdrop color, and yeah, dismissible. Yes, it just means that when you click somewhere around, it will dismiss the overlay. And that's it. So now I can just press Command and V. And so we have the modal within. And again, if we just like have it like this, you'll see that it's not really nice. Like it appears and disappears instantly. So in order to make this look a little bit better, we have to actually add an appear effect to the element, which is this modal in this case. So on the right, I'll go to appear and I'll just give it an appear effect. Maybe I'm gonna scale down. So it's gonna come in from 0.8 and maybe that's all. Let's see. Profile info. Looks pretty good. And the way you can actually assign the close overlay interaction to the close button is you go select the actual button or whatever you want to close the overlay with. And then on the top right, you go to interactions and you just add close overlay. Framer will know that you are within the context of the fixed overlay. So it's gonna show you the close overlay option here. So that's basically it. If you click the close button, it will close, but you can also, since we have dismiss, dismissible and yes, you can also just click here and it will dismiss. Pretty cool. And so now we created two examples with relative overlays and one example with fixed overlays. Now the last thing that we're going to build is going to be a checkout experience integrated into our Framer site. And we're going to use fixed overlays for that as well. So let's go ahead and build that one too. Here is the actual example, by the way, buy now, little loader, and you have the checkout. Pretty cool. So I'm going to go to tutorial. And so what we do here is we can just go right away to overlays and add that fixed overlay here. Now the fill color will not have this transparency. It will have like a solid fill. I think it looks better. And we're going to have the usual 0.3 seconds here on the enter and exit. And so the setup here that I want to build is a little top bar on the top. Actually, before we do that, I forgot one thing. I will just draw a large frame that will hold all the content within the overlay. So just a large frame, make sure that it's within the overlay, and I'll pin it to all sides with 0 pins on the top right. So yeah, this is gonna be good. I'll just call it content. So all content will be within this. It will also be a layout on the right. So everything within will be relative and the fill color will be removed. And the reason why I do this, by the way, is because then I can assign the appear effect to this element here and everything will be, animated in. I don't have to assign the appear interaction to the individual elements within the overlay. So I'll do that right now. Just a little fade in. Okay. That should be good. And so now I can actually create the little top bar. So press down F, create a little frame. Height will be 44. I'll set it to fill. And the content will actually be vertical direction, start. So it's going to be on the top. The gap will be 0. So this top bar doesn't really need a fill color. So I'm going to remove that. It needs a layout though. So everything with it will be relative. And I'll just go to the modal that we created here. And I'm going to copy this little close button because I think we can use this for the checkout experience too. So let's go back here. Actually, not here, but here. And let's paste this within the top bar. I'm going to set this to relative. And then I think it's a little too small, so I'm going to just scale it up. Really simple. Go to transforms on the right and scale it up just a bit. And then again, we can assign the close overlay interaction on top right. So when we click this, the overlay will be closed. And once we have this, all we need to do in order to have a checkout here is just to have an embed component and then just paste the checkout link in the embed. Really simple. So I'm gonna go open the overlay, draw another big frame, set the width to fill, height to fill as well, and then remove the fill color, and this will hold the embed. So I'm gonna press I on my keyboard, search for embed, just drag and drop it onto my canvas. Now I'll set all of these pins to 0, so it will always responsively fill up the available space. And I'll just paste in the example checkout link here. Done. Done. Really good. So if you just do this and nothing else, you will run into a little problem. Because if you go and click buy now, you're gonna see it takes a little while until the embed loads. And that's not really good. I mean, it's okay, it's normal, but we kind of want to show a little loader while it's loading. So the way we do that, really easy. We just drew a frame here. We don't do it inside of the website, just here on the canvas. It's gonna be maybe 44 by 44. And then I'm gonna round the corners, 50% radius. And I think I'll go ahead and add a radial gradient because I kind of want to make like a, actually I can do that with a board. Okay, I was just laughing because on the example that's already done, I actually created a radial gradient to create the border. I don't know why, but okay, let's just add the border. That's probably simpler. So I'm gonna give it a width of maybe 4. And then I'm gonna call this loader actually. And to have a little like, I don't know, loading, I don't know what it's called. I don't know if it has a name, but yeah, I just kind of want to have a mask on this and this conic mask. And now you can see what I meant, this little gradient in the loader. And now I can just put this within the overlay and within the embed frame, center it with Option H and V. And now you can see it appears over the embed, which is not great. The embed should always be on top of the loader. So the index of the embed will be increased so that it's above. And then I'm going to select the loader, and on the right, I'm going to give it an effect loop. So it's just going to loop around, really simple, maybe 2 second time. Let's take a look. By now, yeah, it loads. First of all, it's too slow. I don't like how slow it is. So the loader will maybe just be 1 second. Still a lot faster. And what I also don't like is that it comes in too fast. So when we click buy now, it just appears instantly, almost. So I'll just go ahead and give it an appear effect, which is kind of the same thing. Like the timing is the same, but delay will be added. So it will appear a little bit like later, if that makes sense. So I'm gonna click buy now. Actually, I don't really see that delay that I added to the loader. Is it added? I don't know. Maybe I have to increase it. 0.2. Not too sure if it's added. I don't know. By now. Okay, guys, I'm a little bit confused. Why am I seeing this loader really fast? It appears so fast. Okay, I thought that I can just add that appear effect. Because if I increase this delay to like 1 second, let's just test it, because this way we can really tell if it's buggy or we're just dumb. Okay, turns out I'm just dumb. Because the delay was clearly added because 1 second is clearly visible. So okay, we're just gonna then add maybe 0.25. Okay, that's it. Great, then basically this example is done as well. Little loader, checkout experience we can click on the top to close it. And that's basically it. Now, if at this point you don't know everything about overlays, then I don't know. But I really do hope that this video was helpful in, learning overlays inside a framework. If you have any questions regarding relative or fixed overlays, or you got stuck somewhere, make sure to drop a comment in the description. Maybe not in the description, maybe in the comment section. And yeah, I'll do my best to answer you guys. Also, if you just found this video helpful, please write a comment or like the video or subscribe. Do all these things. And also check out Framework.University because I have a bunch of cool components, resources, cool stuff that you can just remix, put on your website to look cooler, I guess. So yeah, that's it for this video. Make sure to like it, subscribe for more, and I'm going to see you in the next one.